From a battle royale to become the next demon lord, all the way to an isekai where the MC is a vending machine, here's every isekai and fantasy anime coming out next season. Starting of course with the sequels. First we have the highly anticipated second season of Mushoku Tensei, a direct continuation from where we left off, focusing mostly on Rudy's depression from after Eris's departure. I've talked about this several times before already, so if you want to know more about what to expect from Season 2, then you can check that out with the videos linked in the description. Now, the only other returning isekai this season is Devil is a Part-Timer Season 2, which may sound familiar given the name, but is not to be confused with last summer's second season of Devil is a Part-Timer. It's actually a continuation of Season 2, which they decided to name Devil is a Part-Timer Season 2. So technically it's actually the third season. Switching over to the new anime now. The first series on our list is JC Staff's adaptation of Reign of the Seven Spellblades. Not an isekai like many of the others we're going to talk about, but definitely the most anticipated anime within the fantasy genre. In a world of magic similar to Harry Potter, students proficient in magic are sent to an academy to learn how to use said magic. It's pretty much how it is with Hogwarts, except instead of the students' safety being a priority, the teachers and staff couldn't care less if the students are injured or killed. The curriculum is filled with all sorts of dangerous lessons, and just leaving the dorm at night could lead to being teleported into these monster-filled labyrinths. Now, the reason it's called Reign of the Seven Spellblades is because, just like how Harry Potter has these unforgivable curses, Spellblades are these deadly, irreversible techniques. They're the ultimate pinnacle of magic any and every mage strives to accomplish in their lifetime. Not many people know what they do, but what's known to all is just how fatal they are. So, with our protagonist attending this school where everything is dangerous, he creates this bond with another student he finds interesting, then works with her to uncover these hidden secrets within the academy. It's a pure fantasy I like to think provides a darker twist to the whole Magic Academy setting. Plus, as a story coming from the same person who wrote Alderamin on the Sky, at the very least we can expect an engaging plot with several twists to it. Alright, next we have the isekai, Reborn as a Vending Machine, Now I Wander the Dungeon. Another installment into the I've been reincarnated as an inanimate object series. A fanatic of vending machines dies at the cold, lifeless hands of what he loves the most, then awakens in a new world to find he's reincarnated into exactly that. In a mobile piece of machinery that requires coins to keep itself running. So, after a discount Tifa discovers this machine is sentient, she then carries it to the nearest settlement, and the story continues the exact way you'd expect a vending machine isekai to go. It's not a series that deals with a lot of world building or plot, but instead focuses on the lightheartedness of such a ridiculous concept. The next isekai on our list is Studio Maho Film's adaptation of the light novel My Unique Skill Makes Me OP Even at Level 1. This one taking place in a more game-like setting where everything from food to items to even just basic necessities are all obtained from RNG monster drops. So, with our protagonist being stuck at level 1, it's rather difficult to live when he can't even defeat the weakest of monsters. If he could though, his cheat skill would make it so that all monster drops turn into the rarest item possible. So, despite this protagonist being weak at a fundamental level, it's the drops he eventually obtains that make him OP anyway. The rest is just generic isekai stuff built around that element. Okay, next we have this season's installment of the otome game Villainous Isekai. There always seems to be at least one every season now. So, when a high school student reincarnates into the 8-year-old body of the game's final boss, rather than use her incredible power to follow through on that position of pure evil, she instead resolves to do everything she can to avoid that. It's the standard plot for any otome game isekai, except in this one there's an additional element of power. One that transforms the dynamic into something more than just a real-life dating sim. So, while our protagonist does strive to change the fate her character has from the video game, she'll use these special OP abilities to do so, all while becoming a more kind and benevolent ruler in the process. Another isekai that follows that cookie-cutter outline is this person with this occupation gets reincarnated into another world, this time it being a pastry chef. After dying without achieving his dream of creating the world's best pastry, our protagonist will reincarnate to try and achieve that goal once more. Now, that may sound like it focuses a lot on cooking, but in actuality the story deals with very little pastry chefing at all. You see, for some reason it strays away from that pastry chef identity and instead pushes our protagonist towards that generic isekai one. So, rather than see gourmet cooking in another world, What we get instead is OP abilities, magic, and politics. It's a bit misleading for an anime that's supposed to focus on a pastry chef. An isekai that doesn't focus on someone that's OP is the upcoming adaptation of The Great Cleric. It's an average everyday salaryman who reincarnates as an average everyday cleric. He does become a bit more powerful, but the process in which he does requires quite a bit of work. So it's that slow journey of him figuring out his new life as a cleric that really makes this isekai somewhat different from all the others. Now, with that being the last isekai, let's take a look at all the other just plain fantasy coming out this season, starting with the adaptation of Level 1 Demon Lord and One Room Hero. In this comedic fantasy involving that classic dynamic between Demon Lord and hero, the defeated Demon Lord awakens to challenge the hero that beat her once again. The thing is, when she arrives at the location of this hero, she finds he's this lazy bum living in this one-room apartment. He's still just as OP as he was before, but he's definitely not as menacing. In fact, he doesn't even care to do any of that hero stuff anymore. So, in order to bring this hero back to his former glory, the Demon Lord moves in and hopes her presence could bring about their legendary rivalry again, resulting in this comedic scenario where this chibi girl gets stuck taking care of this lazy bum. That's pretty much what the series focuses on. Another anime centering around Demon Lords is Studio Satellite's adaptation of the web manga Helck, a story in which the hero just defeated the Demon Lord, and as such the denizens of the demon world must compete to fill that vacant position. So, what better way to choose the next Demon Lord than to have this massive tournament in which every contender must fight in a series of 1v1s? Now, that already sounds pretty awesome, but it's not the tournament itself that makes this series interesting. No, it's actually the fact the tournament is being dominated by the very hero who just defeated the Demon Lord. He does claim to have this hatred for humanity, but his cheery demeanor seems to dictate otherwise. So, as this hero draws closer to claiming the title of Demon Lord, the overseers of the demon realm must try to figure out what he's really up to, making for this tournament-style series packed with a little bit of mystery. Switching over to the hero side now, this next anime deals with an academy for heroes. It's a school established by the very hero who defeated the Demon Lord. So, with this being the place where heroes in training go to become full-fledged heroes, you'll have this carefree protagonist who seems like he doesn't belong become rivals with the top student whose sense of duty triumphs over everything. It's a clash of ideals in which these two characters constantly butt heads as they proceed through their journey to become heroes together. Then last but not least is the upcoming adaptation for the video game Atelier Ryza, a JRPG well known for its thick thighs, entertaining gameplay, and in-depth crafting system. I've never played the game myself, but what no one seems to consider its strong point is the story. So despite all the high ratings for the game itself, it makes you wonder whether they'll be able to make an intriguing story or not. Something that's definitely worth noting though is that the person in charge of the story is none other than the writer of Shakugan no Shana. So even if the game's story wasn't the best, perhaps Takahashi-san can make the animes better. For now, all you need to know is that the anime is looking to be like one big adventure. A journey following Stout, her thighs, and her encounters with others. Now, there is one last fantasy anime coming out this season, but because it's a spin-off of Love Live Sunshine, I'm not going to even bother trying to explain it. Instead, I'll leave it to someone who's much more knowledgeable in the comments section. As for this season's honorable mentions, I would recommend keeping an eye out on Zom 100 and Liar Liar. These two seem to be quite promising. But yeah, that's pretty much every fantasy and isekai coming out next season. If you liked any of what you saw, then be sure to let me know which ones you're looking forward to the most. And if you happen to be looking for Mushoku Tensei content, then be sure to subscribe because I'll be doing weekly videos on it. But anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this type of anime content, then you already know what to do. So, until next time, ciao!